Coming up, the best of Rob and Blakey's Commentary Box podcast. Welcome to a brand new podcast. This is Rob and Blakey's Commentary Box, loud and clear on Welsh football. I'm Rob Phillips, and alongside me is my Commentary Box partner, Nathan Blake, and we're brought to you with the valued support of the journalism and media courses at the University of South Wales Atrium campus. More of that later. I'm the former BBC Wales football correspondent, covered football for 40 years. Alongside me, Nathan Blake, a player whose career I've seen develop from youth ranks right the way through to Premier League and international football. But then when he hung up his boots, he moved into the commentary box. I've sat alongside him commentating on games, and we've become really good friends. We fall out, we argue, but we're still really good friends. So we want this podcast to be fearless, insightful, and cover all of Welsh football. Isn't that right, Nathan?
We better get another someone to introduce it then, Rob. Another lead. Yes, it's right, Rob. Absolutely. Listen, it doesn't matter if you're 6 or 60, if you're into your football and you support Welsh football, this is the place to be, because we'll be covering it all. Both sides of the fence, everything you can think of. Non-league, Welsh League, League 2, League 1, Championship. And from time to time, we'll touch on the Premier League. Yes, we have no Welsh interest, but it's all about football.
Do you see what I'm saying?
No, but that's down to the owners again, isn't it?
No,
right.
But what I'm saying is that I think people underestimate just how good a manager Phil Parkinson is.
Okay.
He's now had
I mean,
3 successive promotions.
Why don't you just ask Phil to come on the show? I mean, you'll see it.
Well,
you know what I mean?
we will. If he wants to come on, Phil,
absolutely, big him up. But what I'm saying is the whole structure of the thing. I'm not trying to undermine Phil and anything he's done by any means. Right? Absolutely, you need the manager.
Former Bolton gaffer as well.
It's so important.
Yeah.
But there's a level above Phil, and the new owners coming in could have easily, Phil could have left in a year and thought, I don't know. But clearly, what they've set their stall out to do, they've done, and they've clearly taken advice and listened and learned along the way. And it's been, even though it's been meteoric for some, it's kind of been slow progress, right? Because they haven't gone, we're going to completely change the whole squad and out with these 24 players and in with this new sort of squad and out with the old manager and in with the new manager. It's been a gradual, it's just been a short space of time that they've managed to go back to back to back. But for me, I think you can't credit them enough, mate, the owners, because that is extremely difficult thing to do, what they've done. It's incredible, really.
It is extraordinary, and because there's documentary evidence of it. But the reason why I talk about Phil Parkinson is this, because it's easy for people to say he's had money and he's brought in players who are above that level. So he's had this great skill of being able to bring in players who are still hungry enough to play in what was League 2 or the National League at the start, but better than that. I suppose Paul Mullin would be a perfect example. And kept them sort of hungry for it. You know, Paul Mullin was top scorer in League 1 when he dropped down to the National League. And look what he's done. It's paid off for him. Although, again, you know, Parkinson is not afraid of making decisions. Paul Mullin's on loan at Wigan this season. Maybe the end of an era, we shall see. But I think what I like most about Phil Parkinson is that I was at the first game when the owners turned up, Maidenhead. Never forget it. There was rumours beforehand. It was a Tuesday night. There were rumours beforehand that Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney were going to come to the game.
Turn up, yeah.
Well, we're all in the press box, and then suddenly we see this snake of people making their way down the touchline from an entrance to our right. And all you can see is people with lights and cameras leading the way. So we knew something was up, and we knew it was Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds turning up for a game. And of course, we didn't get anywhere near them that night, but it captured the attention.
So where do you put the emphasis then? Do you put the emphasis more on Phil than you would on the ownership, or more on the ownership?
The
than
ownership
Phil?
have made this happen, but I think they've got someone in a key role who is absolutely right. And I tell you why most of all he's right. He's had promotions with other clubs. Bolton, Colchester, Bradford. Got them to the League Cup final where they lost to Swansea. His football pedigree is unquestioned. What I think he has done perhaps better than anyone else could is been able to divorce all the cameras around him from the players from that to just concentrate on the football. He's not sort of out there all the time on the media, but what he has had to cope with, which most managers don't, even Premier League managers, you don't see many cameras in dressing rooms like they've had at Wrexham for the documentary. And he's managed to somehow keep the whole football side focused on the job in hand, which has brought 3 successive promotions enabled by the owners,
money
but
helps,
executed by... It does help. But like
when you're a striker earning X amount in League One, and then you drop down, you probably triple your wages. That will motivate some people.
So now they're looking at signing Nathan Broadhead from Ipswich for what would be a club record. I think it's 7 million.
Yeah, Kiefer Moore is another one.
Kiefer Moore.
Yeah.
I mean, are we happy with that?
Yeah, I keep saying I think they're top 6. I think they're nailed for top 6. I said that before some of their signings. I think they'll get their signings right. And they'll carry on doing what they've done for the last 2 or 3 seasons, 4 seasons.
To a Cardiff podcast this week.
Yeah.
And actually, they're relatively optimistic about how things are. Remembering it's League One. And despite all the departures, I think Callum McDowd is a big, big loss. I think there's a squad there that can challenge.
I'll refrain judgment until I see it.
Oh, that's chickening out. I mean,
no, it's not, because when have you ever known me to chicken out? You asked me about Neil Warnock the day they got promoted. Right? You asked me about Neil Warnock on the 10 minutes before they got promoted.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't chicken out. What I'm saying is, after the turmoil of the last 15 years, 2 promotions, most other years has been like, okay, you've challenged once or twice, but it's not been nice.
Yeah, you and I have talked about it, haven't we?
Yeah, the feeling, even if you've been promoted, 1 or 2 seasons was great, but there's been this cloud over that club under this ownership model. There's no getting away from it. Once you try to change colours and badges and all that, and, talk about honour, you dishonoured the club, basically, and you turned your fans against you. And trying to get out from that, I would say the best thing to do is make sure then your club is run right, because those fans come back week in, week out, year in, year out. And what the fans have seen hasn't been great. Simple as that. And
so
constant turnover of managers. And
okay, if you're not going to put your head on the block, I think they'll be okay this season.
Okay as what?
I'd be disappointed.
So I can put my neck on a block with Newport. I can put my neck on a block with Swansea. I can put my neck on a block with Wrexham. The truth is, I just don't think anybody knows with Cardiff.
No, I
because
sort
there's
of
a culture in the club.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what I would say about BBM. There's a culture in the club.
That's Brian Barry Murphy, by the way.
There's a culture in the club which I knew was there probably 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And I said 2 or 3 years ago they're going to go down.
Yeah, you did.
It's on its way, right? Because if you got players who can't fight and don't want to fight, and you keep changing your manager, all you keep doing is keep doing your players' head in. So the whole cycle of Cardiff City is just a whirlwind. No. And the truth is, I can't predict it. I could try, But I could say to you, they could breeze it like Birmingham did last season. I think that's what's in a lot of fans' head, if I'm totally honest, because they're a big club.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that
right?
exactly.
But I would say it reminds me of the time when I was at Sheffield United. I was only there a couple of months. We got relegated from the Premier League. And I never forget it, Wally Downs saying to me, "Oh, look at these fixtures, Nate. We'll do them. We'll win." And he had W
Yeah.
down all the fixtures. And it just didn't pan out like that.
This is a really interesting one on deadline day. Omari Kellyman, a midfielder, signed on a season-long loan from Chelsea. He only joined Chelsea from Aston Villa for £19 million a year ago. Had a few hamstring injuries, surgery last season, but obviously the Brian Barry Murphy link with Enzo Maresca is paying off there. Obviously, they also kept. They brought in Gabriel Osho, not seen him yet, from Luton, from Auxerre on loan, and also kept Yusuf Salek and Callum Robinson. David Giles.
Yeah, that was important. Obviously, I've not seen the lad that they've signed from Chelsea play, but you know, if they've paid 19 million for him, Rob, then he must be a decent player, and that's a great signing for Cardiff. Like we were just saying then about competition, that's going to add real competition out of the midfield, because the guys in midfield for Cardiff have done really well up to now this season. You know, the likes of Wintle, been very impressed with.
Got a belter on Saturday,
unbelievable goal, unbelievable goal. Joel Colwell, who's just really adapted himself into that midfield, completely different to Ruben. He's a very strong runner from midfield, gets forward, gets past the forwards, so he'll take defenders away, or if you lay him in, then he picks up the odd goal as well. So things are going really well for Cardiff, and again, I'm sure Craig must be delighted, because we've got quite a few Welsh boys. I think they played a game the other week. They finished the game with 9 Welsh boys on the pitch. And that's got to be good for us as well. But obviously you want them all to develop. But yeah, what he's done, Brian Murphy has gelled all these lads. They would all know one another, mind, because they would have played in the under-21s. And I think you've got to get pat on the back there to Darren Pearce, who must have done a lot of work with these lads. So, you know, long may it continue. And let's hope that Cardiff can keep it going and get straight back up to the Championship for next season. I'm
glad you mentioned Percy, because he's taken some flack on certain websites, and he's just it's a tribute to him as much as anything, isn't it? That these players have come through now and they look ready for the first team. And we've talked, Nathan and I, about whether some players should have gone out on loan and whether they used it well. But they seem to have got their act together, and he's a big part of it.
Oh, no, absolutely, Rob. You know, he's. I'm really glad that they kept him, because it would have been easy. He was part of the last regime, and they got rid of the coaching staff there. But they kept Darren, and he's gone back to the under-20. It's a responsible job coaching them lads, and a lot of them boys will be in the under-21s, 18, 19 years of age. So. And for me personally, I like to see football people who have played the game, being involved with young players, because if they're asked a question, they can answer that question, because they've been there and done it. So well done to Darren Pearson. These kids at Cardiff are really, really playing well.
Gareth Pearce on X says 8.5 window out of 10 for Cardiff. He says needed a left back, but Louis Giles capable as direct cover for Bagan. Kellyman on paper looks a statement signing. Osho and Trott, the upgrades at centre-back and goalkeeper. Gutted old Dowder left. Would have thrived under BBM, he says. But BBM will get the job done this season, Nathan Blake.
Yeah, I mean, you have to say he's done a fantastic job so far, Rob. You know, I think where Cardiff were and how they were playing was so it wasn't, it was just a mishmash. It wasn't one thing or another. I think I said to you last week, I felt like Rizza was sort of caught between two stools. He was caught between what Bullock used to do and trying to get across what he's trying to do. And I think what he was trying to do is what BBM has come in and actually done with a younger set of players who were proven to be better than those that were there last season. So I think he's done a tremendous job. And the signings, I think they just add weight, right? Add strength to everything, add competition like we spoke about earlier. And it's nice to be talking about all Welsh football in such a positive light. I mean, yes, Cardiff have gone down the league, but as Sian said, you still got to win. Like Giles said, it's tough. You know, you might think, oh, we'll go down there and we'll walk it. And that's the fans, right? That's what they were saying, a lot of them to me. Don't worry, though. We'll bounce straight back up. We'll come straight back up. They were already, they already had promotion parties planned in their head. And
really?
Yeah, I spoke to many fans. I've got relations who are Cardiff fans who were saying to me, "Yeah, League One, no, well," because what Birmingham done, and Cardiff is that big city sort of, club and what have you, massive following and what have you. They were like, "Yeah, we'll walk it." Like, do you know what I mean? This was kind of before, like, even we'd appointed a manager. Some of them were saying it to me, and I was like, yeah. I think I said to you, Rob, I said on the podcast, you asked me where Cardiff, I didn't have a clue. I didn't know how it would pan out. Didn't know how BBM would do, what kind of football he played. I know he's from the Pep school, but, it's easier said than done. So what they've done and who they've signed, I think they're in a really, really strong position.
We've got Sian Cousins in primarily because this weekend it's the start of the Adran Leagues, and she works for the FAW. She's a league development. That's
league
it, isn't it?
Manager.
Yeah, league development manager. Okay, we'll give you your proper title. Cardiff have been the champions, but just give us an overview of where the league is now then, Sian.
Yeah, I mean, we've had, the Adran League's restructured 5 years ago now, so we're heading into our fifth season of the Adran Leagues as they are. And it was a massive transition for women's domestic football at the time. But absolutely, looking at it now, it was the right thing to do because the strides the league have taken over the last couple of seasons are huge. And Cardiff, they've had the title now for the last going for the fourth consecutive season, I think. So they've been up there, for the top spot for the last couple of seasons. But I think this season it will be really interesting. I think there's a lot of clubs looking to challenge that. There's been a lot of change. I think we've got 6 new managers out of 8 clubs
them?
in the.
Go on.
So we've got, I think, our only 2 remaining managers are Ian Derbyshire at Cardiff City and Stevie McCarthy-Campbell at Barrytown. They're the 2 kind of lone surviving managers in the Adran Prem. So we've got new managers in Wrexham, Jenny Sugarman coming in.
Really
renowned,
interesting one, that
very
one.
interesting.
With a good pedigree in England.
Absolutely, yeah, very exciting. Very exciting changes going on in Wrexham. You've got Jodie Williams that's coming at TNS. Big shoes to fill after Shauna left. She did a great job. Shauna brought the club together, created a real strong team, and obviously last season they got their first silverware, winning the Adran Trophy, which was a great new name in the hat for us, and definitely them making their mark in the top half of the Adran Prem and going for the silverware. So, be really interesting how Jodie follows. In Aberystwyth, there's changeover still yet to be confirmed, so kind of watch the space there. But again, it will be Aber have done well for the last couple of seasons. It's challenging where they're at. It's hard to recruit players in Central Wales, with the journeys, and but they're a very good club and they've got good ambition. Obviously, you've seen their men get relegated last season down to Cymru South, but again, a club that are kind of looking to try and do the right things and grow and build together, which is exciting. Pontypridd bounced straight back up, but Claire O'Sullivan, who was there for their last stint in the Prem, has obviously left. She's now at Cumbrian, which is a team in Tier 3, but they've got Drew Lewis, he's been in the club for a while. Real good guy, a lot of passion there. So I know there's been a big kind of transitional period at Pontypridd, a lot of players coming in and going, so it'll be interesting to see how they start the season. And then Swansea, obviously Jamie Sherman Showa did go in. They had, I think one of their worst seasons on record last season. So a real challenging season for the Swans last season, finishing in bottom 4. But Izzy Taylor's obviously gone in now. She was there kind of on assistant manager basis last season, but she's taken the reins for the season ahead. And I think, she's one that's been around the Adran Prem and long before. So, if there's anyone that can try and consolidate that and grow and build and get a good season under their belt, I think, Izzy would be the person to do the job. Can't forget Britton Ferry either. I think Reece James, bit of a hero within the club, really.
How well are they doing, men and women?
100%. The journey they've been on as a club. Obviously they were in the women's domestic tier 1 before it got restructured, and then missed out on being taking a spot in the Adran Prem when it reformed. So there's been a lot of transition, a real hard, graft for the club to get back up to the Adran Prem and the Cymru Prem. But, their graft and their hard work is really showing now on the pitch. And, Britton Ferry, the men's team, have started really well in the Cymru Prem. And I think the women, Britton Ferry, for them to have the first season back that they did last season was phenomenal, really. Can't take that away from them. And I think, they've hopefully, touch wood, the season goes, with a new manager, a couple of new players coming in. They've lost some key members, I think. Tija and Alison Witt's retiring. There's, 2 big figures within that squad, but they've got a real kind of good youth talent coming through, which is exciting. And, the Adran Prem is a relatively young league, so young players can come in and make a real impact. So it'll be really exciting to see what they do.
In an ideal world, he would rather Canada home because of little preparation time, and then the trip to Kazakhstan. That there's nothing he could do about that. He said it was his toughest week, and I think that's true. But he said something really interesting, which I think he got in bundles against Canada. He said, "I want us to be comfortable being uncomfortable." And I thought it was a pretty uncomfortable.
Well, I spoke about it last night
Canada.
On comms. You've got to learn to be able to play under duress. That means we don't lose our shape, we don't lose our focus, we don't switch off. The tired mind is the mind that fails, right? That's the one you're looking for. When Rob gets tired, I keep playing 60, 70 minutes, he's starting to get tired. Newport's suffering from it right now, right, with the youngsters. Get tired and then I can play. So I agree, yeah. He's not, I suppose what Bellas is doing, he's not like dressing it up to be something that it's not. He understands what we're trying to achieve. And I understand that my players that I'm drawing from on the pool aren't coming from Premier League clubs or even Championship clubs sometimes, right? So it's a struggle to go and find, how long have we had goalkeepers that didn't play?
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Well, that's been our
Achilles heel for a long time, right?
Yeah,
even
absolutely.
though Hennessy does a great job for you, he's not a regular. Right. So
you
we're talking like, I don't think it's fair just to say, you're matching apples with pears, really. Do you know what I mean? It's not the same, one of the same thing. You have to take all these things into consideration. It's like I say, Capaccio, Lawler. Like, Capaccio did okay last night. Lawler does brilliant against Kazakhstan, right? They're playing League One football. If it's the same, League One as Premier League, then you wouldn't have Premier League Championship. You know what I'm saying?
No.
There are levels in the game.
But our players have always had to do that.
Right, and that's what I'm saying about Craig and those youngsters. We're experimenting, hoping that these players develop into top players. I'll give you a name, Ben Woodburn.
Yeah.
Yeah? Do you remember our conversation on that?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
And I'd say, I've seen so many kids, promising kids, have 1 good year's pro, 2 good years pro, 3 good years pro, disappear. If you understand football from a professional's point of view, a 10-year career plus is one of the hardest things you can do in sport. To have a 10-year professional football career. I don't care if that professional football club is League 2, League 1, Championship or Premier League, I don't care if you're international or not, a 10-year career in professional football is a hard thing to achieve.
Yeah.
So, like I said, there's lots of different moving parts to the conversation we're having. We can't cover them all. But I think, all in all, last night, I don't think by any stretch of the imagination, those youngsters and the few experienced dotted around got embarrassed. It was enjoyable. I enjoyed it. I watched it I was on comms. I enjoyed the game.
Oh, no, it was...
Could have had a bit more attacking prowess.
For a friendly, there was plenty of edge, not least on the touchline.
Yeah, exactly. Well, someone made the point about Mark Harris. Now, Mark, to me, he's a good player, but it's been said since football began, you're judged on your goals as a striker. It's as simple as that. And if you don't get enough goals, then you're not going to play at the top.
So
my
wondering
point
how
is,
much we've learned about Wales again. It's tempting to pick our side. So let's say we were playing Belgium tomorrow. I would go something like Carl Darlow in goal, Connor Roberts if he's fit, Joe Rodon, because I think he's been a miss over these games. Perhaps Ben Davis, either there or at left back, and then if he's not left back, Nico Williams at left back, although I don't think he's in the form that he has been. Jordan James, I thought, did plenty against Canada to get back and help, which is what you need. Ampadu hopefully will be fit. And then I would go Dan James on the left, David Brooks on the right, Kiefer Moore up front with Harry Wilson in the hole.
So you wouldn't play Brennan Johnson?
I wouldn't at the moment, because I do think because I just think, thinking back in my past life as a radio commentator, I can't remember how many times I said, and I'm not picking on him because it's not, in some ways, it's not always him, but I keep thinking, he owes us a game, he owes us a goal. I think it's 6 goals in 38 games now, which is not the worst record.
No.
And...
Do you think he can influence games more then, even if he's not scoring?
I think he can, because my own personal view is that I don't think, unless he's scoring, I don't know how much he contributes. I know if Dan James isn't scoring, he can still put, and sometimes his...
Last night, put in a few good crosses.
Few good crosses.
Come on, striker. That's what I was alluding to Mark. Get yourself in the box, kid.
And the one thing I say about the team that I would play, who cares, but I'll say, is that I'd feel really bad about Sorba Thomas, because I think he's done well. But I just like the way Dan James stretches games. And if you've got someone like Ben Davis pinging lovely balls
so would
forward,
you say, on evidence now I'm talking, over the last few games with Craig, would you say Dan James stretches teams more than Sorba Thomas?
I tend to think there's... People disagree with this. I think there's better end product. And he looks more threatening than Sorba Thomas going forward. Okay. He can cut in and maybe get you a goal. Because we're looking at...
Sorba Thomas is a dead ballist as well, man.
I really like the way...
He used to take dead balls for
I really like the way Sorba Thomas is playing. But then I think, Harry Wilson can hit a dead ball, take free kicks.
Yeah, but...
I think he's been our most... Him, Ampadu and Ben Davis have been our most consistent player.
I don't think then... I would say, to counter that, I would say Sorba Thomas sets your tone.
Yeah, mate, I wouldn't argue
more than any other player.
It's a close call.
He sets the tone.
It's
like in Kazakhstan, first 20 minutes, and we've seen him at home, right? in qualifiers. He sets the pace. And what I love about Sorba, he's able to continue that high level intensity for so long, which means that when players are starting to get tired, 67 minutes, and he is keeping on running at you, all of a sudden, that's when minds start to go and concentration. So I would play Sorba Thomas, yeah. I was going to have a word about... No, I wasn't.
No, what?
No, I wasn't.
What?
No, nothing.
Tell me. If there's anything on your mind, tell me.
There's nothing on my
mind. All
mind.
right, let me finish with this. I don't want to upset Julie by going way over. Just one element that I've been thinking about lately. It doesn't keep me awake at night, but I've been thinking about it. And I've heard others talk about it.
Okay.
Very quickly. Why have a wall when a free kick is 25 yards out or Canada distance out? Because I think it impedes the goalkeeper. And I saw Michael Owen, that was it. Michael Owen said, don't know why they have walls. Why not just give the goalkeeper a free view? Because if you had 5 or 6 players 25 yards out in training, do you think they'd all beat the goalkeeper without a wall?
Okay, I would say put 20 balls down with a wall and 20 balls down without the wall, and you concede more without the wall than you do.
Okay.
How many times do you see the ball hit the wall?
So Michael Owen's wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, there we are.
Otherwise, keepers would be saying, well, I don't want a wall. Have you heard a keeper?
Well, I think one day one keeper is going to be brave enough to say, no, forget the
It's
wall.
nothing to do with bravery. They're nuts. Keepers are brave. Trust me. They dive at your feet when you got
No, I know that.
2-inch
know what I'm
metal
saying.
studs on. And if they thought it would help them, they would go to the manager and they would say it. But Michael Owen's not a goalkeeper. Ask a goalkeeper. Would you prefer a wall?
He's
or would
beaten
you
enough of them in his career.
Well, that's what strikers do.
Yeah.
And we don't really like keepers. But, I got some great mates who are keepers. Alan Kelly, Neddy. But I would say,
all right, by next week.
Gavin Ward, take away. What would you prefer? From 20 yards, because I think you're referring to the goal last night.
Yeah.
If you get it up over the wall, that's what they always say. Get it up over the wall. Get it up over the wall. Because like Ronaldo, specialist, probably hits the wall 6 out of 10 times. Yeah. Roberto Carlos.
Okay.
7 or 8 times out of 10 would hit the wall.
So you're not having my suggestion. Oh, all right, I'll set you this challenge. You're friendly with goalkeepers. Gavin Ward, who was it, Kelly?
Alan Kelly.
Alan Kelly, right. You ask them.
I will,
my
yeah.
suggestion.
I'll ask.
I want honest opinion.
I
now.
will.
I want the honest opinion from them.
Not one that supports my argument.
Not one that you said, well, they actually said this, but I'm going to say this just to upset him.
Okay.
Okay?
I'll ask Wardy and I'll text Ned as well. We're on a podcast and I want to know.
Yeah.
Right. Someone has said.
So tell Wardy. Rob Phillips has said, Gavin Ward, that is, by the way.
because he's taking it from Michael Owen, right?
Yeah.
That you're better without a wall, you'd save more.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. All right. That just about does it. The other interesting thing, I was watching Craig Bellamy's press comments. I mean, it's always good to listen to, you have to say.
Yeah.
He's so passionate. And the one thing he's brought to the Wales setup is that there's no thought of playing England and being second best or even feeling some sort of inferiority, because he wants to take on the best. And he says, if I'm going to be a better coach, I've got to take on the best. And in England's case, it's a Champions League manager of some stature in Thomas Tuchel. He wants that. But then there's the opposite to that. And again, I'm just reflecting what some fans are saying. The wisdom of playing England before Belgium.
Let me give you an example. I use boxing as an analogy a lot, right? It's like the fighter who says, I want to take on the champion. And then first round, the champion champion knocks you out. Just because you say it, right, it doesn't mean that it makes you any better. First of all, we've got to see the game.
Yeah, go on.
Let the game play out and then see what happens. If we come off 5-0 loss, it's a mistake. If you come out with a 1-1 draw or a 1-0 win, it's a great sort of. Do you understand what I'm saying?
And don't think there's nothing on it because as it's a friendly, because
there's nothing on it for them though. There is a difference.
I agree.
England are serial qualifiers, right?
They
Been
are.
to finals now and semi-finals for years, quarterfinals for years. They're serial. They just chew groups up. We never in question whether they'll qualify.
No.
For me, it's not a danger, But at this point of the season, it's not just a game. It's more than that. Always means more to us, I think, than it does.
There are statisticians,
That's
football
easy for you to
statisticians.
say.
Absolutely, I did it right. Called We Global on X. It's a site that tries to predict using their methods or whatever what's going to happen. And they wrote, Wales playing England in a friendly is a horrible idea. A loss that could keep them out of League One and really lower their chances of reaching the World Cup. When they mean League One, Pot One, they mean the
qualifying group,
the playoffs,
yeah,
which Wales are basically guaranteed to get to because of their Nations League performance. Yeah. And even Bellamy said, "Well, we're playing a side who are going to win a tournament. It's just a matter of time," as he says. Now, you have to play friendlies. Since the Nations League came in, you have to play friendlies. The only other friendlies that night, so in other words, the only other teams Wales could probably have played are Poland, who are playing New Zealand, and Romania playing Moldova. And one of the reasons why Craig Bellamy likes England is because he said, we can play on a Thursday, we've got the build-up then to the Monday, and it's only down the motorway. It's 3 hours down the motorway. It is a gamble, whoever you play, but friendlies do count in your sort of coefficients. So I suppose the proof of the pudding will be in the eating, won't it?
Yeah, you give me a question in a minute.
Well, no, I'm making an observation.
Yeah,
really.
is it a good idea now? Well, it's a great idea if we win 1-0.
Yeah. We'll leave it there.
Everything flips, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, and that's the mind of a sportsman. Like I say, the boxer goes into that fight with the champion, not thinking I'm going to lose. He might get chinned in the first round. He might go 12 rounds. Yo, Adrian, I did it. Remember that? Old Rocky?
Yeah.
It can happen.
And it's probably what separates Craig Bellamy. Probably what attracted
I don't think it separates.
Craig.
I don't think it does. I think most sportsmen have that mindset. Well, I can tell you, 99% of sports people, men, women that I've come across who are in the game, or went to the Women's Euros with Ellen White and Katie Shield. When you're talking in football and competition and blah blah blah, their mindset is,
they show no fear.
Like Ellen White was generally like fearful of losing to Wales, and we were generally fearful of losing to England, right? But but we're both having the mindset then. But in order not to lose, we got to do this. So Craig is just going like, well, I don't care. Like, my motto is David beat Goliath, right? So there's nothing that's impossible.
No. And on referees, they say these things even themselves out. And it's quite interesting. You and I both thought Lewis O'Brien was lucky to stay on Saturday for a tackle in Wrexham's game.
That referee should be sat down for 3 games. Because he's 4 yards, 3 yards from it. And I actually heard, what's the guy who goes on Sky? Mike Riley, is it? The ex-referee?
Yeah.
I seen Quinton Morrison and him talking about it. And he actually said, and this one gets the goat of fans and players, he was too close to it.
Yeah.
Like, are you just trying to wind me up or what? He's too far away from it. All his players in his eye line. He's 4 yards from it and he sees it as it happens. He's too close to it. So, I would say to him, okay, tell me what it is. There must be some perfect distance that you're talking about for him to be.
He was very close to it.
You know what I mean? He's as close as I am to the camera.
Yeah.
Right? And it's horrific. It's a horrible challenge. Whether he meant it or not, the referee will know what's going on in the game or what have you. Whether O'Brien was wound up and things like that. All these things you have to take into context. But for me, you're lucky to stay on the pitch, definitely, with that tackle. Because I always say, any fan going to go, oh, he's against Wrexham. Reverse it. The defender leaves one on Lewis O'Brien like that, right? You're going to say, that's a red card, right?
So it brings into question the refereeing. They, as I keep saying, they do say it even themselves out. Zambi Potnik.
Yeah, but that's a danger. I don't mind that saying, but I still look and think like that's a leg breaker, mate. That's the kind of thing that can end careers. And I honestly don't think O'Brien meant to do him.
No.
But it is a terrible challenge.
I know how ironic that he scored a goal for Wrexham against Derby. But Zamvit Potnik has fallen foul of the referee last Saturday. Last night at Blackburn, I thought Callum Burgess got away with one, which I thought was a penalty against Todd Cantwell, who'd already scored for
I didn't think that was a penalty, see.
All right, well, fair enough.
I'll be honest with you, I was 50-50 on it.
Yeah.
Then. I could see it from both sides of the fence, put it that way. But Cantwell's reaction was hilarious.
Yeah, well, it was, yeah.
And then afterwards, he probably
He's thumping the turf, isn't he?
Well, not just that. Then later on, like a couple of minutes later, he has another pop because something happens and he loses his head, right? Because there's a foul against him, which he thinks isn't a foul. And he starts shoving players and all that. He was at the point where I was thinking to myself, like, get him off.
And likewise on Salek,
funny though.
You'd have to say, though Cardiff had themselves to blame for losing to Burton, they had enough shots on goal to win it. But you got to say Cardiff got away with one at Port Vale when they scored what they thought was a perfect goal, and it was ruled up for offside. Now, there's no VAR in the lower divisions. I'm not even going to go whether you want VAR in League One or Championship. No.
I never want VAR.
All right, then we will go there. You don't want it.
I just don't want VAR in football.
Fine.
I'll stick to that principle. I always have, and people say, "Oh yeah, but that wouldn't have been a goal, or that would have." I'm like, but that's football. Yeah,
I'd have it for offsides.
The perfect game made up of imperfections. That's what I say. That's football. That's why we love it. That's why we talk. What you're going to do is take away talking points. Hence why we're focusing on silly things like, he pushed him, or, we need to... I'm just out for VAR.
Okay. Not even... I would have it for... See, I think the VAR works on offsides because I don't think you can... if you're a centimetre offside, you're still offside as far as I'm concerned.
But I say where.
Well, no, that's different but that's not VAR. That's but listen, the interpretation of the
listen
rule.
What you're saying. Like, so if you're an inch offside, you're still offside. That's what you said, right? So what part of the body is that?
Well,
any
whatever
part of the body
they decide on.
Okay, so I would say I could be behind you, but I don't run upright. I run leaning forward to like any sprint. As you sprint, you go to lean forward.
Right.
My feet, I can't. My hand might be offside. I can't score with it.
Yeah, but if you're running a race and you duck to get to the finishing line, don't you? Your mate Christian Malcolm would also. In other words, you can't have it for football, and in other words, you wouldn't. Are you saying you wouldn't duck to win a 100 meters race?
I want to know what you're talking about, Willis.
Well, what I'm saying is that you can't say that. Because I run a certain way.
No. Listen, what I'm saying, it's not because I run a certain way. Everybody runs, and you're taught in football. You might have heard this. I don't know with the level of experience you got, but you're taught you're taught to bend your run.
I've been watching football longer than you are.
Well, you wouldn't believe it, but you're taught to bend your run, right? As a striker, you don't run. What I'm saying is, if you bend your run or you go to start the run, you don't run up straight, do you? You lean forward. Your feet are probably half a yard behind you, which are onside, which is what you're going to be tending to score with.
Well,
your head will be half a yard offside, which also you can score with.
Yeah.
But my hands I can't score with. So if my hand is here, and that's given offside, I'm like, well, there's too many connotations to it. Oh, my elbow was offside.
So that doesn't mean VAR is wrong to give offside, does it? In other words, what I think, I know what you're saying. On a penalty shout, it can be subjective, okay? But actually, and I'm not sure they even themselves out because I'm not sure they always do. But on an offside, I think you're either offside or you're not. However, the law is
it
being
depends
interpreted.
what you interpret, what part of the body is offside.
But that's not the fault of VAR as such, is it?
Well, the problem is VAR is just another layer of. You say what did you say? It was.
I've said plenty in the last half hour.
Can you-
Go on.
What did you say?
You're the one who said I'm getting old. Nathan, let's go to you first. How worrying was the performance with the biggie in the World Cup against Belgium looming on Monday?
Yeah, it was pretty humbling, Rob. It was, I think a lot of people went there with great expectation, or high expectation at least. And that's where you get 7,000 fans traveling up, right? And yeah, it was over in about 10 minutes. I have to say, once that second goal went in, it was going to take a monumental effort for us to get back on level terms. And we just weren't at the races like we were in Belgium in the second half, or towards the back of the first half and the second half. We just think about the dressing rooms where we conceded the first and second goals was so straightforward. It wasn't like England did anything special to open us up. The third goal, Saka was a worldie, but still, even that, he wants to cut inside and hit it with his left foot. If he chops you and goes out on his right and crosses it, and someone heads it in, okay, you say fair enough. But listen, they were avoidable goals for me, and the first two especially, which gave the boys a ridiculous mountain to climb.
I was always worried about the friendly, as you know. We mentioned on last week's pod, the episode 10, the possibilities of playing others. Romania, I think, came up. New Zealand, Moldova. Maybe not New Zealand, because I think the friendly had to be an away friendly. I like Craig Bellamy's attitude. We've got to take on the best if we want to be the best. But I'm just not sure of the whole wisdom of it. And I don't know. Some friendlies, you benefit from someone having a good game and maybe establishing themselves as a possible Welsh international for, a selection for a World Cup game which follows, or a championship game which follows. I didn't see any benefits last night, Roopa.
No, I think all I took from yesterday was that the confidence of the players has been knocked. To concede 3 goals in 20 minutes and then to go into a huge game on Monday, it's not what we needed at all. Very few benefits. I understand the mentality thing, and I think some players will take some sort of positives from it. We did see some positives. I think Joe Rodon played excellent. I think he always does. He puts in a good shift against some tough sides. But England are another level, and to play them in a friendly, which isn't always quite friendly, it's not what we needed at all. And I think, we need a huge boost for Monday now.
We'll keep the Wembley theme, return to the Wembley theme, because we got Ben Thomas of Club Pale Droid with us. You were there, Ben?
Yeah, it was a long trip home last night. Got home at 2:30 this morning after the trip back. It was, I think, a bit of a humbling experience for Wales. Shows how far they're off the elite level in terms of international football, and Craig Bellamy, I think, got some stick for his decision before the game to play England. The decision afterwards as well, considering the game was effectively over in the first 20 minutes. It felt like a bit of a training session for England, but I can half see from Bellamy's point of view as well, where he says that you can only get better as a footballing nation if you play against these elite sides regularly. Last night showed how far this squad of players is off that level, and you're only going to get to that level by, as he said last night, stressing yourself to the point where you're comfortable playing against teams of that nature. But I think the only positives you can take from last night is no injuries going into Monday, and the fans as well. In terms of taking 7,000 fans up there, and despite being 3-0 down at half-time, outsung and made a lot more noise compared to the 65 odd thousand England fans.
Well, and also didn't leave with 20 minutes to go.
Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of
What's all that about? That's a new trend, isn't it?
Yeah.
Winning 3-0, it's time to go home.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of England fans, I think, have stated they felt there was a bit of a nothing game for them. I don't necessarily see that as a case when it's England against Wales. I think it always matters to both sets of fans, but the game did very much feel dead and buried in those opening 20 minutes, really, that England were frighteningly quick, much quicker all over the park from defence to attack in terms of their transitions. Anthony Gordon, Bukayo Saka, really good on either side and absolutely tore the Welsh backline apart. They struggled aerially as well in terms of, I think the two opening goals come from set pieces that just weren't dealt with. So that first 20 minutes was very sloppy, but in terms of how they reacted, I suppose from half time, the second half was a lot better. So you can take some positives from it, and I think the only thing it would have done is got them prepared for Monday because, well, we've already seen with Belgium in June, if you don't turn up, they can put 3 goals past you before you've even woken up.
That is a worry. So were you in the press box or with the red wall?
I was in the press box. I was opposite the red wall, and to be fair, the atmosphere from minute 1 to 90 in terms of the 7,000 were really good, and they got better as the game went on, even though 3-0 down after 20 minutes it's hard to keep that excitement level, I suppose. But yeah, they done well to back the players that were on the field for the 90 minutes.
Someone who may be chauffeuring Nathan Blake at the moment on his way to Accrington told me that the highlight of the night was the Wembley food.
Yeah, to be fair, it was very good food in Wembley. I'm not sure if we're going to get the same down at the Cardiff City Stadium on Monday, but yeah, I think that was pretty much all I could enjoy from the 90 minutes that I spent watching on last night.
Next week, join us again for the best bits of the Rob and Blakey Commentary Box podcast, loud and clear on Welsh football.